Hello everyone and welcome to yet another lecture on software design and architecture. Following our design road, we have finally reached to the class diagrams. So in this lecture we are going to talk about the static model, which is called the class diagrams. Don't worry, this is a class diagram which uses a couple of concepts that we are going to use and see in this lecture. So let's get started. So a classifier, a UML classifier, is a model element that describes behavioral and structural features. In UML, the classes, interfaces, use cases, and actors are actually the UML classifiers. In class diagrams, the two most common classifiers are regular classes and interfaces. The attributes of the classifier, which are also called the structural properties, can be shown in several ways. So for example, we can show an attribute text notation, or we can show an association line notation, or we can show both of them together. So for class diagrams, how we can show and use these attributes with the class and interface classifiers, we have different possibilities. So here in this example, I'm using the attribute text notation to indicate that register has a reference to one sale instance. So this is one possibility. On another hand, I am not using any attribute text, rather I am using the association line. So observe that this style visually emphasizes the connection between these classes. So the register class and sale class are associated here. We have the third possibility where we are using the combination of both. So in this case, I'm using the attribute text along with the association line. So it shows that register is associated with the sale class as the attribute text plus on the association line as well. So out of these three methods, the most recommended approach is this one. We have already seen one similar way of representing a class diagram. In fact, that was the concepts which we represented in the form of the domain model. But here in the design model, we are using the class diagram along with the function which are called the operations of the class. And this is one of the distincting features from the domain model. You must make sure that you are avoiding the no argument constructors and getters and setters. So you make sure that you do not add getters, setters, or zero parameter constructors in your class diagram. And guys, one other important difference between the design model and the domain model is this arrowhead. This arrowhead tells that the register has reference to the sale and not the reverse, which means that sale does not have the reference to register. Whereas in case of domain models, we did not have these arrows. So we only told that there is a reference of register in the sale or sale in the register, but as the arrows were missing, we cannot tell which of them was correct. And for showing the visibility, you can use plus or minus to represent public or private. So you don't have to write these full. Instead, you can use plus or minus sign for representing the public and private methods or attributes. And when we are adding the association line, we need to take care of the arrow direction. So make sure that the arrow direction is from the source to the target. The multiplicity should be placed at the target end. So if you want to tell how many instances exist, you should mention the number at the target end. And along with the multiplicity, the role name should also be at the target end. And finally, you should not name the association. So guys, here you must notice that in contrast to the domain model where we used to use the association name, here in the class diagram we are not using any association name, and in addition we are having an arrowhead here for the association direction along with the multiplicity and the association attribute name. Whereas in contrast, the domain model does not have any direction of the association and the multiplicity is placed at both of the ends. Have a look at this example and let me know how many attributes do you find in the register class. Yes, you would say that there is one attribute in the register class, but if you look closely, there are actually 3 attributes in the register class, where the ID attribute is written as the attribute text notation, whereas the other 2 attributes including current sale and location attribute are written as the association line attributes. So you must be asking that when to use attribute text versus when to use the association lines while you're writing for the attributes. So the answer for that is very simple and you can always look for it. So whenever you are working with simple data types or data type objects, you can go for attribute text notation, while for all other situations you can work with association line notation. So here in this case you can see that showing sale and store attributes as associations visually emphasizes relationships important in object collaboration. So it's emphasizing that the relationship with the store and relationship with the sale are important, and they are because of this current sale attribute and the location attribute. There are also scenarios when we have the attribute in the form of a collection. Maybe you can have an array or you can have an array list or any other form of a collection. In that case, if you want to show such attributes, there are again 2 options where you can place them as the attribute text in the diagram in the class itself, or you can place them on the association line. So in this case, for example, I want to make this list of line items as the attribute of sale class. So what I can do is I can simply place it on the association line and it will do the job. And you must also notice that there is an optional property here which is saying that these line items will be an ordered list. In some diagrams you will also see a note symbol. So a note symbol can be used to represent several things. For example, if you want to show that either there is a note or comment or a UML constraint, then you can simply use this notation. So it will not have any semantic impact, rather it just explains this enter item method of the register class in further details. Now within our class diagram in the operations compartment, if we want to mention and write the names of our operations or methods, we can use the visibility, the name of the method, the parameter list, followed by the property string. So for example, for the visibility you can preferably write the plus or minus sign representing public or private. After the name of the method you can write the parameter list followed by a colon sign and the return type of the method, and which is followed by the property string. So an example for such scenario could be where I am writing a getPlayer method with the public visibility and passing a name of type string to that method, and this method returns me an object of type player, and the property string represents some additional details. For example, this method throws an IO exception. In UML there are a number of keywords which can be used, and the keywords are placed in a guillemot. So a guillemot might look like this. So you can write a keyword like interface, which represents that you are writing an interface instead of a class. Then another possible keyword is abstract, where you want to mention explicitly that this class is abstract. So within the classifier box, which is for example the rectangular box for the class, you can write this Guillemot and you can place your keyword inside that at the very top of the box.